Harper Audio presents Everybody's Son, a novel by Thrity Umrigar, performed by Josh Bloomberg. God have mercy on the man who doubts what he's sure of. Bruce Springsteen. Prologue. On the seventh day, the boy broke the window. It had been sealed shut by a coat of paint applied years earlier, and after several futile attempts to open it, he picked up the nearest dining room chair and heaved it against the glass. Even though it happened during the quiet of a Saturday afternoon in May, no one appeared to have heard. No heads stuck out from their own window to examine the source of the shattering. No feet hurried to the apartment where the boy had stayed alone for 7 days. It was a miracle, really, that he had survived. Outside, the worst heat wave in a decade was raging, and when the police got there, they reported indoor temperatures of 95 degrees. The electricity had been cut off 4 days earlier. If there had been food in the refrigerator, it surely would have turned moldy. As it was, he had finished eating whatever little was in the fridge, a few slices of pizza and 2 hot dogs. The rest of the time he had survived on bags of potato chips, crackers, and candy bars. Still, he had not sought help. Nobody could understand why not. When the police asked if he hadn't wondered whether his mother was dead, struck by a car maybe, or worse, he had simply stared back at them with those big amber eyes. The officer suspected that this was not the first time he had been left alone while his mother went scouring for drugs, but the boy was noncommittal. "She told me she'd be back," was all he said. And so he had waited. Waited. In the tiny one-bedroom apartment that had no air conditioning and only one ceiling fan that could not operate with the power off. Waited in the apartment with the dead fridge and food running out, and no television to watch. Even when he smashed the window of the first-floor apartment and tumbled out onto the tiny patch of lawn outside, what greeted him was the indifferent world. No middle-aged woman walked over to see what the commotion was. No elderly neighbor appeared curious about the shards of glass sprinkled on the grass in the cement walkway. The young punks hanging around the housing project didn't look up from their self-absorbed jousting to see the young boy dripping blood from where the broken window had sliced his left leg. In the end, it was the blood that saved him. The cop in the cruiser who patrolled the Roosevelt projects was used to spilled blood in this neighborhood. But even from a distance, he could see how fragile and vulnerable the young boy looked. And yet he was walking away from the desolate brick buildings, as if searching for something, dragging his left leg along. Something about the boy's posture, frail but resolute, made the officer leave the air-conditioned comfort of his cruiser and step out into the blistering heat. "You okay, Sonny?" he asked, but he knew the answer even before he finished the question. It all happened quickly after that. The call for the ambulance, the call to Children's Services, a short hunt for the mother. It turned out she was in a crack house less than 3 blocks away. When they found her, she was passed out and half naked, semen caked on her thighs. A pipe lay on her chest. They arrested the other 2 women and 4 guys in the house, and confiscated multiple drug paraphernalia, along with $2,000 worth of crack cocaine. When she came to, she asked repeatedly for her baby boy, swore that she'd intended to go out only for a hit and return home straight away. But Victor, her drug dealer, had raped her and kept her doped up. She'd locked the apartment door from the outside because the housing project wasn't a safe place for a young boy to be alone. Hell, she did that even if she went to the food pantry. All the mothers did this to keep their babies safe, ask any of her neighbors. The cops ignored her mewing. There was nothing here that they hadn't heard or seen before. It was 1991. There was a crack epidemic raging across the country. A few towns over, the rich white kids were snorting cocaine. But here, in the inner city, it was a goddamn jungle. Filled with animals like this disheveled, wild-eyed woman who had left her son to bake in a locked apartment in the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?